Trav, you've broken a lot of milestones, you've had a lot of milestones in your career. How does this one kind of feel compared to the other ones?
Yeah, look, I think this one is something I'll look back on and be really proud of, and it is a special moment, mainly because of what Russell meant to this footy club, meant to me, meant to the playing group, meant to so many people in this community. I just see myself as a player that's been fortunate enough to represent the footy club, and to be next to the names like Russell Ebert is pretty special, and it's something that I'll definitely look back on with pride.
What does Russell mean for you? You probably didn't see much of him play, but you got to know him when you were at the club.
Yeah, I mean, I recall going on like community camps and stuff like that, and all you ever hear from people out in the community was Russ is my favourite player. Russ was amazing. And it wasn't just about his footy, but the person he was and how he represented himself and the footy club is what makes him special. And it's what his legacy that he's left at the footy club is, and pretty much what I now call human being first, athlete second, is it's about being a good person and representing community, and that's what he did for this footy club and inspired so many who came after him.
How much of your philosophy, Trav, is based on the way Russell was as well? You talk about how he was off the field. I feel like it's a real trademark of your career as well. So how much came from Russ? Oh,
there would have been heaps, and I think you get that from the moment you walk in the door, and that's the legacy that he's left for the Port Adelaide Footy Club. And I think everyone who represents this Guernsey and walks in this footy club, coaches this footy club, or is a part of the footy club has got that within them, thanks to Russell Ebert. And it's about the legacy of being a good person and how we can impact our community, and then going out there and representing the footy club and giving our all.
You touched on Russell's legacy. Does it feel strange for you that maybe in 10 years' time people might look back on you and your name and your time here with it?
Very strange. Yeah, I certainly don't consider myself up there with the names of Russell Ebert and the greats of this footy club, and I just love playing footy and love playing for this club, and it's a great honour to represent it.
And Brett, in that spirit, how does it feel to have not just to play with a person like Trav be the one to overtake your dad's record?
Obviously, it's amazing. I'd love Dad to be here talking about Trav and all that that he's done for the club, and I think everyone knows what he does obviously on the field, and sees him as a player, but the stuff he does off the field is just is unbelievable. That's what I remember Dad as, because being pretty young when he finished, I noticed all the work he did off the field and with the community, and with the charities, and with the people less fortunate than himself. So I see all that in Trav, and I've mentioned it before a few years ago that the way Trav goes about it and his professionalism and the work he does off the field is what I think sets him apart. Games aside, he's played a lot, and so did Dad. But it's more than that. It's more about the person he is what we should really celebrate.
How much do you think it would have meant to your dad that it's Trav that goes past his record?
Oh, he would love it. Absolutely love it. Obviously, Dad spent a lot of time with Trav when he was at the club, and I got to spend some time with Trav as well, so we know the person that he is, and Dad would be so proud. I know Mum and the rest of the family is so proud, and it's Trav. And I was thinking about it the other day, and you could get any supporter from any club walk past Trav, and everyone's got the respect for him and loves him. Some people dislike other players from other teams, but I don't think there's one person that doesn't like Trav. And Dad was the same, playing for the Magpies. Not many people like the Magpies except Magpies people, but the respect that everyone had for Dad, whether it was a Sturt or a Norwood supporter, they always loved Dad and respected him for what he did.
What's the family doing on Saturday?
We're all going to head to the game, which will be fantastic. Mum's had a few health battles lately, so she won't be attending, but she just wanted to pass on that she's so proud of what Trav's done and what the Port Adelaide Footy Club continue to do. It's a real family orientated club, and that's the way it's always going to be.
Trav, for you, do you have the family? Is the mum? Mum coming over? Sister. What's happening?
Yeah, I think Mum's rounding up a few tickets, so I'll have some family coming over. A couple can't make it, but there'll be a fair few there, which will be really nice.
Trav, sorry, you've heard this one before, I'm sure, but how do you do it? How do you do it as far as the longevity, the way you keep turning up and breaking these records. I feel like every couple of years we ask the same question and we keep coming back to this spot.
I think the thing that I've started to learn probably more so over the last 4 or 5 years is I need to adapt and change. Understand where the game's going, understand where I need to go, my body, my mind, whatever it is. What I did 6, 7, 8 years ago is different to what I need to do now. The mental challenge of it is different. My purpose is different now to what it was, and I think that's what gives me excitement and gives me enjoyment. The body part of it, I enjoy, like the management of my body and my health is something I enjoy. The mental challenge is the one that can be tricky if you don't get right, and if you're not enjoying it, you're not going to be still playing, and I still really enjoy it. And with that is what is my purpose now to what it was back then is completely different.
Anything different
I would
over
say
the
that you need to play on to next year to hit 400. I think some of the ones at pre-season games is not taking the gloss off at all, but to hit, is 400 something that's on your mind at all? Do you think about that? Do you put any consideration into kind of what the next one is? Nah,
not at all. Honestly, my focus throughout the off season, the pre-season, was about this year and making sure that this is a big year and I can impact the footy club and the playing group and on field and off field in a big way, and that's all my focus has been. I haven't really focused on any amount of games yet.
Was this game's record any part of motivation about you coming back for this year? Because I know at the end of last year you did say it was going to be a big decision for you about whether you do go on for another year. Was this record, getting this kind of milestone, did that come into consideration?
Nah, not at all. I actually didn't even really know about it until early on in this pre-season. Richo and Norts mentioned it to me, and I actually had no idea about it. So yeah, it wasn't until recently.
Brett, when you saw Trav as a young lad coming into the club for the first time, obviously he was a high draft pick, but what were your first impressions when you saw him running around having a kick in the couch?
Oh, he was ready to play. His professionalism was second to none to begin with, and it was one of those young guys that come into the club and it felt like he'd been there for 10 years. It was a pretty good year that we had. Disappointing to finish it, but I think the experience that Trav got from that, and did you play any SANFL games? 14,
I think.
For Glenelg.
12 or 14.
The Tigers, yeah. So yeah. Played a couple of SANFL games, but I don't remember him playing SANFL. It was just literally straight in the AFL team and away he went. And such a good year with, I think, Robbie Gray and Justin Westhoff, and Stewie was around there as well. So you can see that over the years, the success we've had is built on that draft, to be honest, yeah.
If someone had told you when you did meet Trav that he'd one day break Russell's record, would you believe it?
Oh, maybe Trav didn't probably believe it. It's a lot of games and it's a lot of years, and then you go, well, if you have a few injuries or if you something doesn't go right with your form, so probably not. I knew he was going to play a lot of games, but to Trav's credit, I think it's the professionalism, as I spoke about with Dad, was probably before his time, with his off-field work and all the rehab that he did. He enjoyed a beer in the early days, but knuckled down, and I hear from some of his teammates how professional he was, and that's exactly what Trav is. An ounce of luck here and there with injuries, and possibly could have hurt this or could have hurt that, but just gave himself every opportunity to play good footy and play for a long time.
It feels like it's still really emotional to talk about Russ, and I'm sure the occasion is part of that as well, but is that sort of testament to how much his legacy and memory is still living on with you and your family every day?
Yeah, I think it honestly feels like he's still here. It's a bit of a strange one, whether you haven't come to terms with it or whether it's people still and always will talk about him a lot. So I think you've just got to embrace that and feel like he's here and he's always watching.
We've spoken about a lot. It kind of does get discussed a lot. How important is it that Trav stayed at Port Adelaide? Obviously Geelong came for him, but the fact that he stayed, when it was the hard times, when the club wasn't going so well, how, in your opinion, how important is it that he stuck around?
Yeah, I was going to touch on that. I think his loyalty, Trav's loyalty to the club, and I know people that he works with off field as well for his rehab and for his treatment, and the loyalty that he's shown to the club is second to none. Obviously, the club, is a fantastic club and a real family-orientated club. But when you're living somewhere else, and I didn't, have the opportunity to do that, but you know, you may have times where you want to get home and be with your family, and you know, he's had some family things come as well. So for him to stay and for his the family coming all the time and supporting him and the loyalty that he's shown, I think Port Adelaide Footy Club's very lucky to have him.
Trav, Brett mentioned luck comes into it a little bit. Do you feel like you've been lucky? Obviously, you've put in a tremendous amount of hard work and professionalism and stuff behind the scenes, but how do you feel like luck has played a role for you at all throughout the journey?
Oh, there's no doubt you need an element of it for sure. Whether that's your team to go through a year without injuries, or personally you need it as well. But there's only so much you can do to give yourself a chance to play well and prepare. And then there's a side of it you can't control, and that is injuries. So I've definitely had an ounce of luck along the way as well, and fortunate enough and grateful enough to be able to play a majority of the games throughout the 19 years.
Do you? I mean, obviously a heavy loss to open the season. Given the occasion of this week, I'm sure there's no shortage of motivation, and not just for you but for everyone to come out and red hot crack. Yeah,
I mean the motivation comes from wanting to respond from last week. It was really disappointing. Those games you've got to take a lot of lessons from. We did that. We had some good discussions. Training was outstanding today, and the boys are ready to go for Saturday, and looking forward to playing in front of our home fans for the first time this year and getting a win.
I remember when you ticked over your 350th, looking back and seeing that a lot of your milestones have come away from home. How important is it to you to be at home in front of?
That's true. I didn't even think of that. My last one was against Richmond too, so it would be really nice. Like the fans over the years have been amazing for me. The support I've had, whether it be through messages, through support at training and games, has been outstanding. So to be able to play in front of our fans in a milestone is going to be really special. And one thing I've learned, I think, over the last several years is the milestones aren't about you. They're about the people that help you get there. And certainly the fans have been amazing support for me. So it'll be more about thanking them on Saturday and Russ, what he did for this footy club, than it is about me.
Over your career so far, you've had plenty of highs, but some difficult times as well at the club. I guess, where did you take the most learnings out of, some of those low times over your career?
Well, that's just part of the journey. Whether it's life or footy, there's always going to be down points, and being able to accept and understand that that's part of the journey and learning from them is really valuable. And to go through those challenging years as a footy club, certainly in 2010, 2011, 2012, to learn how to train better, how to represent each other better, and when Kenny come in and made a lot of changes, we probably wouldn't have been able to go forward if we didn't learn from those times. And sort of grateful to go through it. Unfortunate we did, but we certainly learned as a footy club, and we're in a better place today because of it.
Ken talks about your diligence, Trav. I understand that you're always taking notes of meetings, and again, you're last on the track. Is that something you have to choose to do every day, every year, or is that something you think that comes a bit naturally to you?
I think it's part of trying to be the best athlete you can. I think understanding that it takes a lot of discipline, being uncomfortable a lot. I think early days I didn't really know that as much, but I've been really fortunate to learn from some great people within the club and outside the club what it does take to be a good athlete. And I'm pretty meticulous about things that I have to do and want to do just to give myself a chance. And I think a lot of our guys are like that, and certainly our younger guys are really on top of that at a young age, which is incredible. And that's why I think the club's in great hands. That you do have to learn it for sure, but then it's the discipline to want to go out and do it. And we have a lot of young kids that are in that space, and they're learning and want to be the best they possibly can be and understand what it takes.
You've shared so much of the journey with Kenny. Do you take it personally when people come up with you?
Oh, 100%. I reckon everyone in this footy club, everyone in the playing group does. Only because he's meant so much for this playing group, and he's given his heart and soul to this footy club and this playing group. And it's frustrating when we put out a performance like that and Kenny gets talked about for sure. I think he understands it's part of the job, and AFL senior coaching is one of the hardest jobs you can do. But for sure, our players absolutely love him.